Welcome, Catherine, back to Wisdom Within. It's been such a long time, actually. We've had a bit of a break, haven't we?
Yes, we
So
have.
I couldn't wait to have another conversation with you. And we were talking last week, and I heard you use the word presence. And I knew immediately it was something that I wanted to talk about, the quality of our presence in the world, really, because I have had experiences of that. My clients, when I see them showing up for themselves, have that in their lives. And so, what do you think? Let's start with what you think it means about being present in the world.
Mm. Thanks for having me back, Marian. It's really terrific to be here with you. And I love this subject. I absolutely adore it. When we were talking, I mentioned to you that one of my teachers and mentors had a practitioner training program over the summer that I participated in. And the entire program really revolved around the quality of our presence in the world and how important that is.
Mm.
Whether that's in our personal lives or in our professional lives, it doesn't matter. This is across the board. The quality of our presence is just everything.
Mm.
Um, and it's the quality, no matter what we want to achieve in life, it's the quality of our presence that actually accomplishes that. It isn't the strategies, it isn't the 10 steps, it isn't any of that. If the quality of your presence is lacking, then that's going to affect everything in a negative way. And conversely, if the quality of our presence is good, is positive, and this is being present in the world without a lot of thinking on our minds, with the whole of our being.
Yeah.
For me, is where magic happens. And it's not effortful, it's effortless. So being in the world with a quality of presence that allows you to connect effortlessly with whomever crosses your path. It allows you to see the beauty all around you. It allows you to fall into those synchronicities and those coincidences that seems to create so much magic in life. In my opinion, it's the quality of our presence that allows all of those other things to happen. So it's really fundamental, no matter what you want to do, no matter what you want to achieve. Even if you don't want to achieve anything, it's fundamental to our happiness and our well-being. Did that answer the question?
Yeah, because yes, absolutely. And what I hear is what you're saying is, and which I completely agree with, is you start showing up in your own life.
Love it. Yes, yes. So right, which sounds so simple, doesn't it? It sounds so simple. But most of us aren't showing up
Yeah.
wholeheartedly. I love the term wholeheartedly.
Yeah.
Most of us aren't showing up wholeheartedly in our lives. We have too much on our minds.
Mm.
We have worries about tomorrow. We have regrets from the past.
Yeah.
We have all kinds of things that get in the way of us simply being present in the world and available to what life is offering us
Yeah.
continually. Okay, so then see, when that happens for me, I'm in a dance with life itself.
Mm.
And I mean that in the most ordinary way. I mean it in the most profound way at the
I love
same,
that.
right? The
Yeah.
same time, both of those things simultaneously. So the very simple logistics about life are carried out much more gracefully. What to do next? I might be doing my dishes or getting ready for this call. Life just tends to flow. And
Mm.
when we're in that flow, Marian, I happen to think that we're connected to source. We're always connected to source,
Yeah.
but nothing's getting in the way of it, of this natural flow of life. And our interconnectedness shows up more consistently when the quality of our presence is what we're aware of. So, I'm not suggesting that I'm in 100% flow. I was thinking earlier about this, and I didn't even know it because and remember when you asked me what the topic was going to be, and I went, not sure I remember. But I was thinking about this because I thought we recognize this with sports figures. Like, we all know what it means to be in the flow when you're a golfer or you're an athlete. And I thought, this is for everyone. This quality of presence puts us in the flow with source or with a big mind or with the universe, whatever words you want to wrap around it. It does not matter. It doesn't change the experience. It's ordinary, and we don't have to be an elite athlete. We don't have to be someone special. It's available to all of us when we're in the present moment without a lot of thinking on our minds. I say there's a personal thought stream. It's like a radio frequency. And when I live in that place, I'm all caught up in my thinking about what to do next. I'm worried, I'm insecure. When I drop out of that, Marion, I drop into the present moment, into flow. There's a deeper wisdom there. And it's a beautiful place to live life from.
Yeah. I love that because, and I remember while you were talking, I was remembering that I had a glimpse of that probably about 20 years ago when I was on a course in Scotland with Caroline Mace. And the first thing that she said when everybody came into the room, she started talking and then she stopped and she went, "How many times has your mind gone out of this room?" Because as she was talking, you're sort of connecting with your past and issues, and how many times you go out the room. And it is so true. And I was very aware of that my mind was going off here, there, and everywhere, and I wasn't being present. And now moving here, and I just had a big move and moved across the country, and that move happened because I was completely out of my personal mind, and I entered into that flow because I heard the call to move. I moved here. I've trusted that everything will work out. I've had the most amazing people working on my house, and that's being in the flow. I can feel myself slightly coming out of it, and I hope that I'm going to drop into it again.
See, this is beautiful that we feel ourselves coming out of it. It doesn't mean something's wrong. It means
I'm getting jittery.
Right. When we feel ourselves coming out of it, that's just the signal that we're getting caught up in our personal thinking. We've moved out of flow and we can drop back into it. That's our internal alarm system.
Yeah.
Just alerting us to the fact that we're getting, don't get me wrong, our personal thinking is a great thing. Like our intellect, we want to use that for logistics and what time do I need to be on the call with Marion and how do I get from A to B? But this deeper wisdom that we're talking about connecting to is responsive in the moment to our own circumstances, whatever they may be. And so in my coaching, I'm never telling people what to do. I am facilitating their reconnection with their own inner wisdom because that's presence. Mm-hmm. When I'm in the moment, fully present, I'm available to this universal wisdom. We could call it intuition, to the flow, to source, to my higher power. You get it. It doesn't matter what we call it. When we experience it, we know it, and things fall into place, and they have a way of happening that seems miraculous and full of magic. And you know that I bought my own house in the same way. I was drawn to it, and it came about in a very unexpected and lots of other things too. Large and small, but the point being that we all have access to this. So the quality of our presence, I want to say something else too, because so many of us are activists and want to change the world, and the world is we're facing a lot of difficulties. And I want to suggest, my teacher, Dicken Bettinger, and mentor, He said something once during a webinar, and he said, we change the world just walking down the street, depending on the quality of our presence. And what that means to me is that all of the good stuff flows through me when I'm not caught up in my personal thinking. Compassion, wisdom, understanding, kindness. And I think I told you the story of being at my job and singing. This summer, I work at a wilderness park just in the campground. And a woman said to me, I heard you yesterday singing while you did your job, and I felt it changed my whole day. I felt your joy. And I really got how we changed the world with the quality of our presence through that conversation with that woman. I had an effect on her, and I had no idea. And so this energetic quality, when we're in a good state of mind, and this energy is flowing through us, the life force that we all are in our true nature, that our energy is always rippling out and affecting the world around us.
Yeah.
So we don't have to try so hard. We can really take care of our own state of mind, the quality of our own presence, and we will be affecting the world. And that doesn't mean we don't take actions or from that place, the actions that we take have much greater impact. They take, from that place, we aren't carrying the weight of the world on our shoulders. We're connected to source. And so the quality of our presence does all the heavy lifting.
Yeah, I mean, that's just beautiful, because I was listening to Marianne Williamson this morning, and she happened to say about our purpose, our passion, showing up and being that, and so many people questioning what that is. Well, number one, you can't really work out what that is until you show up and you get present in the world. But secondly, she said something which I thought was so beautiful, and it's just what you said, that when you are just walking down the street, you are doing your ministry.
Yes, that's what I'm saying.
By showing up, you're doing your ministry. Yes. And you don't need to have, if you think that you need this amazing thing, this purpose that you're looking for everywhere, but actually when you're present and you are doing that, you're doing that anyway. It's flowing through you.
Love that, Marian. That's exactly what I keep discovering myself.
Yeah.
Is that the quality of my presence, I'm always where I need to be in the moment, meeting the people I need to meet. And the quality of my presence, again, will do all the heavy lifting. My purpose is being fulfilled through the quality of my presence. So whether I'm just walking down the street, whether I'm meeting up with a friend, because just to get, Marian, when we become just a vehicle for source energy, I don't know if that's going to be too woo-woo, but basically that is what it is. It's what we are when we're not all caught up in our personality and our ego. So much is being accomplished just by being in the world with that quality of presence. It's everything. I do more for the world when I get out of the way,
yes,
and show up with an open heart, than the little me, the little ego me, trying to do a million things, and trying to make things happen. And, you just feel the difference in that. When you start to live that, you realize that all the frantic efforting and all the frantic trying to make things happen, to create this big purpose and mission. Marian, I can't tell you, and innocently we do that because we believe we have to. And I've just discovered the beauty and the wonder of knowing I'm always in the right place at the right time. When I fall out of my personal conditioned thinking into this more expansive way of being, this open-hearted way of being in the world,
Mm.
Literally, magic happens. I look someone in the eye and they know they can approach me and talk to me. I make connections because I'm present in the moment that I could never have dreamed of making happen. So,
It,
you
it,
know, I
it is true that when you meet people, and I obviously I'm on Facebook because I have a Facebook group, and there are courses that I do on Facebook, but you can actually see people who are present and you can see people who aren't. And it's they clearly and understandably, because I lose my presence sometimes, that
well,
that they don't realize that, but you can physically see it. And I
abs-
would, anybody listening to this, there are people that we meet at work or as friends, and we look at them and it's like, wow, we don't know what it is. We don't have a word for it. I mean, we have a word for it, which is showing up, being present, and it's so noticeable. And
and
I would love to do more of.
we feel it. Even online, we feel it. We
Yes,
feel the
absolutely.
quality. And in real life, of course, we're feeling that all the time. When you meet someone who shows up and looks you in the eye and is available to you, it's a wonderful feeling. It's a beautiful feeling. There's an instant feeling of connection.
Mm.
And we all long for that.
Yeah, we do. Because many of my clients, when they come with various issues and problems. So, if you come when you're shy or you're anxious or you get depression or you're addicted or whatever it is, that everybody is looking for that, to feel comfortable in themselves and show up and show themselves.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And it's taking that jump to get there, because a lot of people don't like to feel vulnerable.
Mm.
And they have this misconception that being vulnerable means that they will get hurt if they start showing up and showing who they are. But actually, there's an enormous power in showing up and being in the flow of the energy of life, really.
Well, I love that you mentioned that, Miriam, because when we're in this quality of presence, our own wisdom is actually available to us.
Mm.
It isn't without discernment. In fact, all discernment is there.
I
And
love
so,
that.
right?
Yeah.
So it's a characteristic of this presence
Mm.
is wisdom, kindness, compassion, but discernment, clarity of mind.
Mm.
And it's clarity of mind that keeps us as safe as we will ever need to be in life, not fear, not remembering what happened in the past. So again, in this quality of presence that we're talking about, there is intelligence.
Yes. Now, I understand that. But how do you sort of show that to someone that's
Mm.
listening, that we can talk, because intellectually many people can understand that might be intelligence behind life. I mean, it has been proven scientifically that there's intelligence behind life. Yeah, but how do we sort of show that and talk about that in a way that it might resonate with somebody?
that's the $1 million question, isn't it, Mary? Of course it
Yeah,
is.
I thought you'd be the right person for this then.
Right, exactly. Listen, Marion, I've come to see that when we are pointing to something that's universally true, which I think we are, something inside of each and every one of us hears it, wakes up to it. That's what's happened to me. Whether we're listening to Marianne Williamson, whether we're listening to Sydney Banks, whether we're listening to Michael Neal, I don't care. It doesn't matter. We hear truth when it's spoken. And I want to say we hear the truth we're ready for.
Mm. Very true.
We hear the truth we're ready to hear and willing to hear. So this quality of presence, this being in the flow of life, the quality of life that we're trying to put words onto, really believe that we point to it. We do our best to share that. And whoever your beautiful listeners are, the ones that they'll recognize what we're trying to point to. Sometimes we can do that eloquently, sometimes it's awkward.
Mm.
But the fact that we're pointing to something that's universally true and available, in my opinion, when you speak to that, people know what you're talking about because they've had some glimpse of it in their own lives. Now, for me, it's I came to see that the only thing that got in the way of that was this personal conditioned thinking, this voice in my head that was mostly negative, very judgmental, that I'd given all the authority to in my life.
Mm.
And this deeper wisdom never had a chance. I got glimpses of it. I had some sense of it, but I gave so much authority to this. Again, I call it the conditioned personal thought stream, where all of my fears and insecurities were. And
Yeah.
I gave that all of the authority, and I lived my life from that place. Now, everything that I've done in terms of searching and a spiritual journey that I've been on has been just about learning to listen to this deeper wisdom that I believe we all have within. So the quality of my presence is all it needs to be when I fall out of this personal thought stream, when my head isn't full of all of this thinking about what was and what might be.
What I can't do and what I, yeah.
Yeah, and I'm just showing up in the world. You know, Marian, we all want that for the people that we care about in the world. We
Yeah.
want the peace that comes with that. So I don't, you know, the truth is, Marian, I'm not sure how we do that. We just do our best to point people to it. And we keep showing up with an open heart, and we live as the example of that. This is what I do in my own life.
Mm.
Instead of trying to tell people about it, and sometimes I do, like in these conversations.
Mm.
But if we're living in the world with clarity and with the quality of presence that you and I are discussing, that will impact people more than anything that we have to say. But I would just encourage people to move towards what their own wisdom is drawing them to, whatever creates a more peaceful sense of presence within them.
Yeah.
Each journey is unique. I think every path is sacred,
Mm.
and that this is the hero's journey. Each one of us has to find a way to fall out of that personal conditioning and into this deeper essence. And
Yeah.
that's what the adventure of life is all about to me, you know.
And it is to me too.
Yes.
So, so if we want to talk to people about, we said that when you're present, then when you are job hunting or relationships or whatever, everything becomes easier. And I truly believe that is true. And for me, it's true because I'm able to be so much more discerning about what I'm doing.
Yeah.
My choices get much better. I tend to really hear my intuition to go in a certain direction. So if somebody said to you, why is it, or what is it that I can do that will allow me to have healthier relationships and money relationship and health, all of those things, how is being present going to impact those things? How does it impact those things?
For me, it's the fundamental basis for everything else. So it is the source of wisdom that will lead any human being to navigating any issue that occurs, because this presence that you and I are talking about is intelligence. It contains wisdom that is responsive to each individual's circumstances. So this isn't about me knowing what's best for you. This is about you tapping into the wisdom that's within you, the intelligence that's within you, the intuition that's within you. And that wisdom for me is divine. I don't want people to get hung up on, there's a divine intelligence within us all. We're an expression of it, and it is responsive to our individual circumstances. So the and we're each on the journey of discovery to learn to listen to that wisdom within. So I can't give a prescription to anyone, but I can encourage people to trust that something is drawing them. And that might look like the impulse to listen to Marianne Williamson. It might look like the impulse to go for a walk out in nature. It might be the impulse to take a yoga class. Whatever brings you, whatever draws you towards greater peace of mind, helps you to feel more grounded in the present moment in your experience. Every individual's journey towards that is their sacred journey. And so we have to start right where we are. Right where we are is perfect. And we have to just go towards what is drawing us, that brings us greater peace of mind. Everything unfolds. So I like to remind people again, the only thing that gets in the way of this deeper wisdom is that chattering inner narrative. I mean, sometimes the outside noise, we need to just shut that down. But then we're dealing with the inner chattering narrative. That's the big one. When you quiet this, then all the outside noise in the world really doesn't have the impact that it used to. And we each need to find our way. But once we know that this wisdom, with certainty that this wisdom is within us all, because it's our true nature, it's our essence, then life will start to bring people into our lives, books. There'll be a gentle guidance towards what allows you to tap into that peace of mind. And that is your journey. It's going to happen from within. And it's going to be, this quality of presence has a wisdom that's going to be responsive to your circumstances.
Yeah.
So, it's not very satisfying. A lot of people want to do X, Y, and Z, and it'll get you to, but we know that there's a great mystery behind the unfolding of our lives here. And the way to navigate more gracefully is to get in touch with that inner wisdom. So.
And I think by listening and being aware that when we are more present, that the way that, how do I want to put this? So our health, our relationships, everything can change when we become more present and we listen to our own internal voice, our own wisdom, because it will tell us what to do about that. So Marianne, if I was really listening, it would tell me what to do about losing weight, which I
want to tell you, it lifts us out of the unhelpful patterns, negative behaviors. That's all in the personal condition thought stream, where we get stuck in unhelpful, negative, dysfunctional patterns, from just mildly to the really, really harmful, dysfunctional things we can get caught up in. This quality of presence, this wisdom, this intelligence within will lift you, right?
Absolutely.
So that's, for me, that's where all lasting change comes from.
100%. And that's what I really want people to take away today, that when you start getting present, you start noticing how you start rising out of addiction, stress, anxiety, money issues, everything, because you start seeing it all differently. And for you personally, your journey starts unfolding in front of you and you can see the way forward.
Oh, Marianne, and when that happens, life becomes a very rich and beautiful adventure, even in extremely difficult circumstances. What we would consider very challenging. I'm not talking about transcending difficulties and challenges, but what we're talking about is having the inner resources accessible to navigate any outer circumstance with greater grace and ease. And
Yeah,
that's what we want for each one of us, right?
yeah. I was talking to somebody today about that, and I was saying that, life doesn't happen to you. It is happening. And when it's happening and you're there, that you will have, when you are showing up and being present, you have everything that you need to know how to then respond to that day by day, moment by moment.
This is how our wisdom shows up. It doesn't show up in advance. It shows up in the moment, and what to do occurs to us.
Yeah.
This simplicity,
Mm.
people miss how profound this is because it is
So
so,
simple. Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And when you start to see this happening and your own life unfolding, and a level of contentment rising within you, you know you're headed in the right direction. And there's a lightheartedness, because when you're connected to this inner wisdom, a lot of your overthinking falls away,
Yeah.
and a lot of the distress and the uncomfortable feelings fall away when that overthinking, excessive thinking falls away.
Yeah.
And because and I have friends who've said to me, well, Kathy, I don't want to be in the present moment because it is painful in the present
Yeah.
moment. I do not feel good in the present moment. Well, that there can be a lot of discomfort when we have a lot of unresolved issues, but our wisdom can break through all of that. So, and I feel a lot of compassion. I know that place. I lived in that place for a long time myself. And I know that our inner wisdom is still functioning, whether we feel connected to it or not.
Yeah.
And I know that if we trust our journey and trust our path, if we find trusted friends, counselors, wise people, that we can support one another on this journey. And what better thing is there to do? It's always there, whether we feel connected to it or not. And if we look around and open our hearts, we'll find friends to support us, like yourself, Marion, the wonderful work that you're doing to support women in this journey. And it doesn't matter if it's addiction, if it's anxiety or depression or any of those secondary things. We usually have some sort of anxiety or depression or trauma if we're in addiction. So yeah, exactly. So all of those things are just symptoms of being disconnected or feeling disconnected to this inner wisdom and this quality of presence that's available. So I just would encourage your listeners to avail themselves of your services
Thank you.
and this isn't I'm not trying to plug anybody's business here, but we all know that we've got a long list of people and resources that crossed our paths at exactly the right time and brought us what we needed to return to wholeness.
Yeah.
So
I definitely met my people along the way, and you're definitely one of mine.
well, and
You're the person I look up to, Catherine. You are one of the most present people, actually, that I've ever met in my life. So I think that's what attracts me, apart from the fact that you're a beautiful person, but it so attracts me. So I love having these conversations, and I'm glad your summer's over and you're going into winter. We're now going into winter, and that we can start having these conversations again. So we'll be back next week or whenever, and be sharing something more. So I hope anybody listening to this is going to thoroughly enjoy listening to Catherine talking about presence. So thank you, Catherine.
So thank you for having me. And I hope there was something in that conversation that will be of help to your listeners.
I'm sure there will be. Thank you.
You're very welcome.